Here we go, everybody. It's time for Read the Line Celebrity Guest Picker segment, and I have a true insider to this week. Not only do we have a guy that grew up at Bay Hill, but he lives across the street from Bay Hill this week, and we're getting ready for the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Aaron Stewart, man, it is great to connect with you. Good to see you. How you feeling this week? Are you excited for a little Arnold Palmer Invitational?
Oh man, first off, thanks for having me, Keith. It's always good to catch up with you. It's been too long since we talked last and had a beer together. So really excited to be here. But yeah, I'm excited for this week, man. Bay Hill week. As a kid growing up here, you said it. My first, the house I was born into was in Bay Hill Village, right there on the 12th tee. And really up until college, grew up in this area. So really excited. As a kid, it meant that spring break was here, right? Whenever Bay Hill was in town. So it's got that atmosphere. The weather's shaping up to be perfect this week. So the crowds are going to be out in force, and looks like we're going to have just a phenomenal week of golf.
All right. Well, you mentioned it right there. Let's start with the weather, right? Because we know the temperature is always pretty good. It looks like no rain for the week, but is the wind going to be a factor? Because in the last couple of years, the wind has kicked up. Like I think at Terrell Hatton's year, that massacre on Saturday, where he shot 74 and he like kind of leapfrogged a bunch of people. What's the wind going to be like this week?
Yeah, so I looked at the forecast ahead of our call today. Really, on the weekend, I think it's 10 to 15 right now, which is not a big deal for those guys. The way the course sets up and the length that they've added to it over the years, really you gotta be able to hit the ball long, and you gotta find the fairways because there's a lot of trouble off the tee, a lot of water on the course. So when the wind picks up, it can really, if you don't have control of your golf ball at the right flight, then it can be a pretty challenging test out there. But as it's shaping up right now, the forecast is looking pretty generous. So I think it's going to be one of those years where the scores may be a little bit better than some of the years past. It's kind of always, the first week of March. It's usually, most of the time, it's pretty good weather, but we can get that storm front that comes through and kind of kicks off that last kind of couple days of cold before we really get into springtime down here in Central Florida. But as it stands now, I think it's going to have springtime, summertime temperatures, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. So now when we get past the weather, you were a Division One player at SMU. So I want you to put on your golf hat. You're playing in this tournament. You're getting ready for Bay Hill. What skills, if SMU had a college tournament there, what skills would you be working on to get ready for Bay Hill? Is it short game? Is it driving the ball better? Like, what would you really be grinding on the week up leading up to a tournament at Bay Hill?
Yeah, thank you. For Bay Hill, I definitely have to say that one, driving the ball, is a big factor out there. And then putting. The way that they have the greens right now and the speed of the greens that I think we're going to see. I haven't played in a few weeks out at Bay Hill, but in speaking with some of my buddies that are playing out there regularly, the course is in phenomenal shape. The greens are running quick. So, yeah, I think driving and putting are going to be the keys out there this week.
Well, there's no doubt driving the ball or hitting it far maybe favors the long hitters. And I think about those par threes, the four of them. They're all over 200 yards, right? And they all kind of have some really, really difficult green complexes. How much of a key do you think this week par three scoring is getting around Bay Hill and contending?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, if you go off the front side, right there, number two is one of the hardest par threes I think that they have out at the course, and that's a tough way to kind of get the day going. I think, but par three scoring out there, yeah, I agree with you there, Keith. I think that's going to be crucial. The other flip side of that is who can take advantage of the par fives out there, year after year. I think we always see, the top 10, top 5, and the winner. Those are the ones that have really gained the most strokes on the par fives out there.
Well, you know what? That obviously favors the long hitters. There's no doubt about that. But I want to touch around those greens one more time because Bay Hill, it's a Florida golf course. It's got a lot of sand. In fact, I counted them all up. It's got 55 greenside bunkers. Do you feel like being a good bunker player gives you an advantage at Bay Hill, or it's more the greens are big enough that you don't hit that many bunkers?
Yeah, I mean the greens they're larger. They've got multi-tiered, a lot of depending where the flag is, it brings in different aspects of it, right? The bunkers out there, for the most part, I personally as a player, I never felt that it was a big issue getting up and down out of the bunkers out there. So I think the players that are pretty comfortable in the sand can kind of be a little bit more aggressive and go at some pins that others may kind of have to steer away from. I think if you look at some of the past champions, I think Mark Leishman won a few years back. He's a pretty good bunker player in his own right. Usually some of the Australians tend to be good bunker players just growing up down there and the courses that they play over there. So, yeah, I'd have to say that it's definitely going to be an aspect that can kind of change the course strategy if you feel comfortable getting up and down short-sided out of the sand.
All right, so we talked about a couple of characteristics. They're going to help you to contend. Now I'm going to put you on the spot. Let's start with the favorites. Who do you like in this field to maybe take home, the Arnold Palmer Invitational for 2022?
Well, if he wasn't coming off of injury, I'd have to go with my former alumni, SMU alumni, Bryson. But I think with him being out and there are some added pressures as defending champion, so I think he'll have a good showing. But I don't think he's gonna be in the mix necessarily on Sunday. Looking at some of these lines that we have out there, I like Adam Scott. I like Mark Leishman. There's two Australians there. Billy Horschel. I played back in the, I remember playing the Southern Amateur one year when it was held at Bay Hill, and Billy Horschel's in the field. So HP, the old AJGA event, he's got a long history out of this course. Always seems to play pretty well, and he's pretty comfortable here in the Florida swing. So I think Billy will have a good week. And for, I don't know if he could be considered a long shot when he just had a top 10 last week at the Honda, but I got to go with my boy Sam Ryder. I think he'll have a good week. And another SMU guy, Harry Higgs, that I got the pleasure of playing with a couple seasons while I was still in school. So between those guys, I think you got a winner in those 4 or 5 names I just said.
All right, so Sam Ryder kind of catches my attention. Why do you pull his name out of those longer odds guys? What is it about his game? I know he's in good form. He did play well at the Honda, but what is it about his game in particular that catches your eye?
Well, he's not a super flashy player, right? It's not like someone like Bryson where this guy starts warming up on the range and everybody kind of takes notice, right? But he does everything well, and he's a bit of an escape artist, which we mentioned it earlier, comes in really handy at Bay Hill. Plus, it's a home match for him. We've got a big group of our buddies that are going to be coming out and supporting. So I think he's got a lot of momentum. He's playing well. He had a good couple tournaments out there on the West Coast. So I think he's got a few things going for him that it could be pretty fun.
Now, I want to close with one more question for you. Last year, one of the most iconic moments of the whole season was Bryson hitting the ball across the pond on 6. Now, we've played that golf course, you and I, any number of times, right? We've probably even played it once together. I mean, who could have ever thought the line that he takes? Now, I know he's been injured, but how much does that add to the atmosphere of the event this week, knowing that Bryson's on the property, he's the defending champion, and everybody wants to see him cross the lake again?
Yeah, I mean, well, growing up, I don't know what year it was, but I remember John Daly trying to do it, and emptying half the bag in the water until he eventually did knock it on the green. The specific shot of you referencing Bryson from last year and the line that he took, really, he actually had to carry a bit more water on that line than had he gone actually maybe 20 yards left and taken it right at the green. So I think that'd be interesting this year if he is in tournament shape and he's ready to go, to see if he maybe goes a little bit further left and tries to knock it on the green, because I know that was a pretty tough shot that he had for a second last year, the pitch over the bunker out of that rough. So, but for the atmosphere, how cool was that? Like seeing him put his arms up after he just crushed it, knowing it's over, and the crowd going nuts right behind him in the middle of the pandemic last year, right when half the country's locked down. Getting able to see that was kind of like, all right, there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? So I think we got another year under our belt. The weather's going to be great, as we said. We're here in Florida, and it's just going to be a fantastic week.
Hey, there's only one more thing I got to say. I think you did an awesome job as tournament chairman for the Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions. LPGA start the season there at Lake Nona. Danielle Kang, tremendous champion, great field of celebrities and everything. Do you have anything fantastic that you're already thinking or talking about for next year's edition that you could give me a little foreshadowing? Because I loved it, and I know what a creative person you are, and I know how much fun you're having doing that. So I'm just eager to know more about what you have planned or cooked up for next year.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. It was a lot of fun. This was our first year under the Hilton Grand Vacations ownership. It was our first year moving the course out to Lake Nona. So all things considered, a huge success. The weather could have been a little warmer, but hey, that's a little bit out of our control. But now, with the power of a best-in-class brand like Hilton Grand Vacations behind the tournament, it's really, really exciting to have a full year, to be able to plan, to be able to go after some A-list names for the 3 concerts that we have throughout the week, the artists that are being thrown around now and talked about in some of these executive meetings are really exciting. So I think it's just going to continue to get bigger, going to continue to get better. We do some things that are a little different than you'll see at a regular professional event, because it is truly just kind of a celebration. We're recognizing the accomplishments of the players of the LPGA. It's the only event on their season that they have to win an LPGA event to qualify in, right? So it is truly a celebration of their accomplishments. It's a great way to kind of kick off the season. And we're trying to grow the game. We're trying to bring people in that may not have ever attended a golf tournament before, but hey, one of the celebrities that's playing is maybe their favorite basketball player, right? They want to see Vince Carter come out, and they didn't know that Vince is a golfer. And so in our own kind of unique way, it is bringing new people into the game. And so that's kind of the direction that we're headed. We're going to continue to make it bigger. We're going to continue to grow this event and really just try and become what Bay Hill is for springtime. We want to become for Central Florida in January with the Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions.
Well, I tell you, I love everything about it. And I also love that you could join us and be a part of Read the Line this week, previewing the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Aaron Stewart, thanks so much, bud.
Thanks, Keith. The last thing I will say is that I do think that the scoring record this week is going to hold true. The 1987 scoring record. I don't know if you've done your research there, Keith, but that was Papa
63.
Stu minus 24.
Yeah. I think he had a 63 in the third round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't forget that one. I mean, Bay Hill's all-time best champion. No doubt in my mind. That's for sure.
Thanks so much for having me, Keith.
All right. That's it, folks. You got the preview there for Read the Line. Make sure you subscribe, read, and, of course, win.